So I closed on my house today. Okay, so yeah, this is, wow. I barely documented any of it. I documented my first house hunting round. I documented my second round of house hunting. And after that, I pretty much dropped off of the face of the earth with house content. This process, it's so up and down. And let me tell you, by house hunting round 2, I found the house that I wanted. I went and put down the deposit. The day I put down the deposit, my realtor looked at me and she's like, I'm just telling you right now, from this moment on, it's gonna be a roller coaster, but I'm keep holding your hand. I'm like, okay, girl, like I'm just gonna trust you, whatever. And it literally was a roller coaster. If there's one thing I've learned, low key, it doesn't matter how prepared you are, how good your money is, how good your credit is. That stuff is really helpful. Don't get me wrong, that stuff is very, very helpful, and that helped me avoid a lot of issues, but that's not enough in and of itself. That's not enough on its own, because there were still so many other challenges that I didn't anticipate facing that I ended up facing. For example, the lending company that I was working with was like, yeah, this specific thing on your taxes, we want it to be filed in this way. Like, there's nothing wrong with your taxes, but we would need for it to be filed this way for us to do what we need to do. And in my head, I'm thinking, and I told my mom this, I'm like, my taxes were filed months ago. I cannot go back and change them. So if this thing wasn't filed in this specific way, I really don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, what am I supposed to do? Randomly, I get a text from my accountant and she's like, actually, your taxes were rejected from a birthday error. So I can go in and file the thing that they needed to be filed a certain way. I can go in and do it that way and then resubmit it. What are the odds of there being a birthday error on my taxes and they get rejected and we find out in just enough time to rework it to give to the lending company? So I'm like, okay, that crisis averted. And y'all, that had my heart beating, because literally I was getting ready, like they were like, oh, pretty much like the process is over. Like, we just need these few things. And they hit me with that. I'm sitting doing my little homeowners counseling class thinking I'm getting everything done. And they're like, oh, you thought you were getting everything done, but we need this to happen. Okay, I'm like, okay, crisis averted. She fixes it. She tells me she resubmits it. And she's like, in a few days, we're gonna call up to the IRS and we're gonna pull your tax transcript because they need your tax transcript to move forward with this housing process. I'm like, cool, we just gotta get the transcript, like boom, it's gonna be fine. Mind you, at this point, I was closing in like a week and a half. We call them, yeah, your transcript's not gonna be ready until 4 to 5 weeks from now. I don't have 4 to 5 weeks and I need that transcript to close. Also, for every day after closing that like we're not finished, like that everything's not ready and the lending company is not ready, it was gonna be $500 a day, $500. I'm like, that is ridiculous. It can't be 4 to 5 weeks from now if I close in a week and a half. It can't be 4 to 5 weeks from now if I close in a week and a half. I'm like, this is literally crazy. I'm gonna throw up. Tell me why 4 days later, I'm like, let me just go on the IRS website. Tax transcript came through. Y'all, stuff was just like happening back. Like, it was up and then it was down and then it was up and then it was down. I already struggled with kind of feeling like an imposter. And in those moments, I was not capable of the vulnerability that you need to be able to share how I was feeling in those moments. I was already anxious, and the last thing I wanted to do was like involve hundreds of thousands of people in my anxiousness and have them asking me questions that are gonna make me more anxious. I just couldn't do it. And at the end of the day, I'm really thankful because it's worse than this for a lot of people. Like, when I look back at it, I'm like, the stuff I went through is nothing compared to what some people go through to get a house. It was just anxiety inducing for me because this is a completely new process. And at every second, the way my brain works, I'm very like, I catastrophize. I think the worst of things. So anytime something happened, I'm like, well, I'm gonna lose the house. Like, I'm gonna lose the whole opportunity. Like, and then I was upset because I'm like, but I was so prepared, but I was so ready. So I feel like if I have all this stuff, if this is right and this is right and this is right, then what should be the problem? But at the end of the day, what I'm learning about this process is you really can't anticipate everything that's gonna happen. You can be prepared to the max, which I suggest. Be prepared. Thank God my credit was good. Thank God the money was good. Like, if I had to deal with that, that would have made it even worse. You will never be able to anticipate every single little thing, and it might be up and down, but it's gonna be okay. Here we are on closing day, and I have the house. The house is mine, and that's really blowing my mind. Like, on the way back, we went to closing, and then we went to lunch with my realtor, and then we went to the house and kind of looked at it again. And on the way back, my mom was like, did you ever think that at 25, you'd be buying a house? Like, this would be your reality? I was like, not at all. Not at all. I thought I would maybe be trying to buy an apartment right now. I thought I would still be at my serving job and then maybe doing another job on the side. I thought I was gonna be like trying to become a professional dancer, which I still love dancing and I wanna keep dancing, but I don't wanna do it at a professional level now. Like, there's just so many things that are so different than how I thought it was gonna be. And I remember at the time, like, I remember when I had to move back home after college, I was so sad because the thought of like my life going from being in college and around all my friends and being so independent and moving back home made me sick to my stomach. It made me feel like a failure, like, and I really wasn't. I was just a graduate. Like, I was just a graduate. And even if you're not a graduate, if you have to go back home to live with your parents, personally, I just don't feel like that's a failure. Like, it's just life, and sometimes things happen, and sometimes you just need help. But I wasn't giving myself that kind of grace at the time. I was just thinking like, oh girl, if you have to move back home, like, it's really over for you. But now, here we are, and we're buying a house, and it's really all thanks to y'all. I know I say this all the time, y'all probably sick of me, but if y'all were not watching my stuff, it wouldn't be this way. And it still blows my mind to this day that y'all watch my stuff. Like, if somebody could have told, when I first started making YouTube videos during the pandemic, like, who was following me back then? I remember when I first started making videos and it was so much fun, and I would get on here and say like, oh my gosh, I can't wait. Like, this would be so much fun to do for a living. Like, I love this. This would be so crazy if I got to do this for a living, blah, blah, blah. And then here we are. That's wild to me. I will never, who is that? I'll never be over it. It's just still so cool to me. And just thank you guys. Like, thank y'all for watching my stuff. Thank y'all for supporting me all the time. And I don't know, it's just the best. So yeah, that's why I hadn't heard nothing about the house. But this is me updating you, and hopefully like the next video might have like an empty house tour. I don't know what's going on. I haven't packed nothing. I haven't packed one single thing. I'm like, Shari, literally, what are you doing? You're acting like you're not moving. Act like you're moving out. I have not packed one single thing, but it's like the days up to closing day, it just seemed like it was a lot going on. It was a lot going on outside. It was a lot going on in my head. Like, I just wasn't ready yet. And I'm about to go to Miami tonight because my cousin is having a baby shower, so we gotta go to the baby shower, and then I'm gonna come back. And when I come back, I'm gonna pack. But yeah, we got a house.